attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kira's show here. And now, yes, for those of you who are probably thinking, why is he starting another series while he is on hiatus? I felt like doing a part 1. In fact, I'm actually a bit bored. And a little bit tired. Anyways, I've gotten a few things sorted out and found out a few things today. I had to make a few phone calls also. Anyways, now, with that being said, let us begin. What if Deku was Quicksilver? Our story begins with Izuku Midoriya, or better yet, his parents. Midoriya, his mother's quirk. She has the ability to, at least, somewhat lift objects with wind instead of telepathy. She has the ability to simply just wave her hand and she can pick up objects, or simply just blow them away. Her quirk is very hard to control and try and get a hold of. And throughout her years of trying to train it, she's had no such luck. She is able to pick up something and bring it towards her. However, the problem usually is slowing it down. And you do have Midoriya's father, who he somewhat does have a stamina to cardio based quirk. Basically, he can run for extended periods of time because of excess stamina his body can contain. Now, whenever Midoriya is born, this is where the timeline switches. Whenever he was born, he doesn't have either one of his parents' hair color. His hair is a mutation, a part of his quirk. Now, doctors, they're not really too sure what to classify Midoriya's quirk as. Think that he might have a, wind quirk, or possibly his father's quirk. And they do at least find the extra joint in his toe. Now, this means that he will develop one, or possibly even show his off whenever he gets up and moving. It's simply just going to be a matter of time. Simply just warning Asashi and Inko about keeping things basically taped down in their house if the boy does begin to manifest the wind quirk. Basically give them warnings and advising them to do certain things. Whenever babies are born with quirks, they might show off and possibly even hurt themselves and people around them with them. Even weird quirks can do that. Even the fire quirks and ice quirks too. Now, Midoriya, whenever he is taken home, he does not show off this wind ability. Nor does he do anything like that. His parents listened to what the doctor said and the advice he gave them. Midoriya going throughout somewhat of a routine, acting like a normal baby, until he begins to learn how to walk. He was actually up and walking a bit sooner than any other kid should be, since I want to say he was walking before, I would say 1.5 years old, but I'm not sure if that's true. Or probably 2 or 2.5 at the latest. I'm not too sure how soon a kid could be up and walking. Anyways, now, whatever is considered early, he's up and walking. and this actually does surprise Inko and Hasashi, since they were both talking in the living room, and they just put Midoriya to bed, being surprised whenever they do hear something, turning around and seeing Midoriya walking and trying to climb onto a stool, simply just trying to get up somewhere high. Both of them immediately freaking out and seeing this. And they do try and understand what's going on. This actually being, well, easy. They're really happy and excited and do actually celebrate this little fact. Now, let us cut to roughly about, well, let's say 2 years later. Midoriya, he is out on the playground, and he has seen signs of his quirk. He knows that his quirk's mutation, probably, but he's not too sure what it would do, let alone how he would really use it. Usually whenever he does look at something or stare at things, they do feel slow. Is that his quirk, just fast eyes? He's tried talking with people about it, but they don't really understand it, really. It feels like things are paused sometimes, as if you were to simply just pause a movie and walk away. They can stay that way for a little bit of time. Before you do notice if something was moving, before it paused, it's probably barely even moved an inch, or not even half an inch. And today Midoriya is trying to, well, talk with other kids. And he does meet Bakugo. Bakugo basically just saying that whenever he gets his quirk, he's gonna be really, really strong. Really excited. And you do have these two forming a friendship. Bakugo one day manifesting his quirk. And the two do go out on that little adventure like in canon. Whenever they are walking across the log though, Bakugo, him being last, would fall off. Whenever he does fall off, Midoriya turns around, and he does see Bakugo, who, without hesitating, he goes to move forwards, thinking that he can catch him, he can help him, he can save him. Midoriya moving at an almost unseen speed, as Bakugo, who is already at least falling over, has his hand reached out. Midoriya grabbed him by his wrist, and yanked him forwards, the two falling backwards onto the log. And Bakugo, he's trying to simply, well, get over that shock. And then there is Midoriya. He didn't think he could make it. The other kid simply just saying, "What? When? How did you, Midoriya? Was that your quirk?" "I think so. It just everything was slow again." "Really? Wait, you move fast, huh?" "Izuku, um, thanks. No problem, but I just, what should I do?" Uh, well, I'd say we should go on an adventure, but yeah, you should probably head home. Um, actually, no, let's actually just test this out a bit. Bakugo, he's simply just trying to push Midoriya away. He didn't think Midoriya's quirk was that simple, that strong. He already had the idea in his mind that he is the best. That is what people started to put into his head. However, right now, that idea is thrown out the window. He's not focusing on himself. He's focusing on Midoriya, who was very fast. In fact, if you were to have, well, use what is it? A speed gun, I want to say? you'd probably be able to clock him at 125. Now, that alone basically dwarfs Ida's speed, and simply just shows how fast he is. Now, everyone does actually enjoy time together, and they all do run around and try and test out their quirks, and go on this adventure. Midoriya simply just doing one thing, as he just begins to try and run, before feeling things slow down and him speed up. Now, Midoriya simply begins to run around. Everyone just watching as Midoriya, he took off. They didn't even see him. That was what was very surprising. As soon as Midoriya came back, he basically ran past them. If you blinked, you would have missed it. And Midoriya does enjoy doing this, until he actually does trip and fall. As soon as he does that, he goes tumbling down and actually rolling. He does get cut up quite a bit and hurt, before almost hitting into a tree. He basically slid into it. Now, Midoriya does actually get back up and try to shake this all off. However, he is bleeding. That being whenever he actually does get taken home. As soon as he gets taken home, yeah. Inko is quite surprised, thinking that something happened to Midoriya, that Katsuki beat him up. And she does want to make a phone call, just to be sure. As soon as she does actually dial the number, Midoriya is trying to explain it. Trying to explain to his mom that it didn't happen like that. Katsuki was in trouble and he had to help him. Then, they simply just played around. Inko, not really believing her son. He's still trying to defend the boy he thinks is his friend. The boy is a bit overzealous sometimes. She thinks that he can be a bit too much whenever you do try to talk with him. Now, as soon as she does pick up Mitsuki does pick up the phone, and hear Inko basically talking about it, Midoriya basically blurts out loud that he has his quirk, trying to explain that to his mother, who, as soon as she started talking, simply just stops and looks over at her son, confused. Mitsuki on the line, basically just shouting, "What?" As hearing this news, she actually does ask her son, "What is Midoriya's quirk?" To which Midoriya tries to explain to his mom, as they do leave. Her slamming the phone on the receiver and basically taking him to a quirk doctor. She's not too sure what his quirk is, and it's always kind of bugged her. She always thought that he might be a little bit like her, but he's not really showing off those abilities or doing a lot. Now, Midoriya, whenever he does go to the doctor, they do examine him and put on file exactly what his quirk is. Midoriya, he gets to pick the name, since his quirk is phenomenal. Midoriya simply just stated that his quirk, it happens whenever he starts to run. And the doctors, they didn't really want to press it. So they took Midoriya outside and gave him a bit of a timer. He is going to run from point A to point B, then click a button, and go back. They are going to be timing him and seeing exactly how fast he is. Now, Inko is somewhat excited to watch this and actually see it. Midoriya, he simply just stands there and is told by the doctor to get into a running stance. Him simply just showing Midoriya, the pro hero, Ingenium, he does this, Midoriya brings his fingers and his hands down to the ground, and throwing his right leg backwards, while his left shoulder rests right next to his left kneecap, him getting ready to launch off. As soon as the doctor does count down, 3, 2, 1, and right before he does say begin, Midoriya races off. The doctor, his finger, goes to click down on the thing, and Midoriya, he simply just runs. He runs over, taps the button, and runs back. The doctor having to basically be in shock, and look down at the watch. That didn't even cost the boy 10 seconds. And Midoriya, yikes, that was fast. He simply just ran, let's say about 25 meters there and 25 meters back. And the doctor, he does actually retime the boy. This time, however, he does get 8.7, meaning that he is very fast. And Inko does watch her son use his quirk. Midoriya, yeah. He's been doing this a lot today, and eventually he does get very, very tired and sleepy. As soon as he does get home, he crashes, falling asleep at the computer desk while watching videos of the number one hero. And he begins. Now, Midoriya, over the next few months, does actually get a bit of publicity. He always runs around a lot, and people do see that. Midoriya is always early to school, early for anything. In fact, if you tell him to get somewhere real quick, he'll be there usually not too late. At least probably like within most time it would take a normal person who would use a car. Now, Midoriya actually does do this, and eventually, he actually does meet his hero. He meets the hero Ingenium, who was in the city today because he needed to look into something and talk with someone at UA. They wanted his help finding out some certain information. That's there's a case linking these two cities. Now, Midoriya, he actually is running around. Ingenium sees the boy run past him. In fact, he almost missed it, immediately taking off and trying to catch up. Midoriya, who's simply just running nonchalantly, has Ingenium on his left, who is running at maximum speeds. Let's say Ingenium is going, 125, the same as Midoriya. He hasn't shifted into his last gear, where he would clock over, let's say about 150 to 170. I'm not sure how exactly fast Ingenium is. Anyways, now, Ingenium does ask the boy to please slow down, and that he really shouldn't be using his quirk like that. Midoriya staring at Ingenium before he actually does look back at him. Look back at where he's running. As soon as he does see that he's about to hit something, he actually does try and slow down, and to stop. As soon as he throws his legs outwards and tries to slide, he basically makes skid marks with his shoes, before having to try and jump over what was in front of him. Yeah, he was able to do it, but he did knock over a few things. And Ingenium, he had to loop back around and slow down, trying to talk with this young boy. The person basically just simply yelling at Midoriya that he really shouldn't be doing that. A young reckless kid, then looking up to see the hero. Ingenium simply just saying that the young boy doesn't really know better. He's simply just out for a run, In fact, he's almost as fast as me. Midoriya basically jumping to his feet, and beginning to fanboy, asking Ingenium for an autograph, which he obliges, before simply just asking the boy about his quirk. Midoriya is not too sure on a lot of the specifics of it, but from what he knows, it has something to do with increasing his own speed. His body, the way it works, well, the doctor said something like, whenever I start running, I channel wind or something like that. I'm not too sure. I know it has something to do with redisputing energy or something like that. But it does burn through a lot of my own in this process. Ah, I see. Well then, I believe that you would be an excellent hero. Thank you, Mr. Ingenium. Well, I do have one question. Um, how fast were you whenever you started? Oh, um, hmm. Well, my engines usually had a couple gears. I want to say about two or three. And after training a lot and dealing with certain things, I've had to try out new methods. And some of them have worked. In fact, it's a very grueling process of training. At least the way I have to do it. It's, not easy either. So, I advise you to be careful with your quirk. Do you feel any strain in your body? Not really. I do just feel a bit tired though and hungry. Oh, so you mean like that type of energy? Well then, it does seem simple enough to fix. Well, Ingenium simply just turning to run off, telling Midoriya to simply eat well and to get proper nutrition. Running off as Midoriya watches him leave, and he does stare at his notebook, beginning to walk back to his home. He wasn't too far away. Usually Bakugo does time him and see exactly how fast he can be. The two sometimes have a bet. If he can get something for Bakugo that might be close by, then he wins. Bakugo, though, he has to time him, and Midoriya actually does find it to be a bit fun. It's like a scavenger hunt. And this is how Midoriya does actually try and train his quirk. Just running around. Even doing so at home. And burning through enough energy to usually end up falling asleep on the couch. Either watching TV or once falling asleep at the dinner table. It's very much becoming a problem. However, Inko, yeah. She usually moves Midoriya whenever he does fall asleep. Sometimes carrying him to his bed, or letting him sleep on the couch. As long as he's resting and really just doing what he wants to, then she doesn't really have a problem with it. As long as he stays out of trouble. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.